I can't believe it's right.
Yeah.
Let's go, Al.
But we're okay with it.
It's 7:30 and we can reconvene. I'd like to bring the discussion back to where we were over there on the site, talking about taking into consideration what was said about how much between parking and in the building are going to be taken up on that site. Perhaps talking about back to 1-story, 2-story, and
We need a motion to
that's true, yeah. You need a motion to reconvene.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. As far as where we were with that, I'll turn it to the committee first. Listening to what was said over on the site, looking for comments so we can get some direction. What's the feeling? We'll start and go around. Ann, what do you think of what you heard over there and where we should go?
I think it's going to take a little more talking with each of the three major entities to hammer down what they really feel like they need, 1-story, 2-story. I definitely would like to see a little bit more of an aesthetic building than 3 boxes. I think where we position it, we really do need to think about where we position it on the property too.
Chief?
Oh, I'm next. I still like the idea of a 2-story building with a full basement. I am of the opinion that you never have enough space. And now's the time to build something that is going to take us into the future rather than for the present time. And the location on the property, I don't like the idea of it being close to the intersection because there's too much road noise. And exiting, we got all the land in the world over there to have entrance and exits. Consideration of the present Esplanade building, that's a lot of space when you knock it down. I think that kind of covers it. But I think we gotta consider the fact that the Esplanade building right now is so overstacked and overloaded. You've got to provide for future, and I mean future, historical items to be put into the building once we're in there. Because a lot of people are holding back. At least that's my opinion. I don't know if any of you have been in the building. Take a walk through.
No dog.
No, I'm serious. Let them see
Insurance,
what
okay?
you're,
We up on
We're
insurance?
paid up on insurance, but yeah.
no, let them see what you're working with,
Well, part of
or
the,
without.
but part of the issue is that we don't even know what we're working without because, like you say, so many people have said to us, oh, we've got this collection and we've got that thing that we'd love to give you, but not in that building. So, yeah, we don't really even know what we're dealing with.
So anyway, I just don't want to see a building, and I know it escalates costs, but I think the time right now to get reimbursement from the state is nil. I don't know about the federal government, but we're going to fall on hard times. Nobody's making it easy for us. And we have to sell this project to the general populace in this town so that they will be amenable in accepting it.
Your turn, Linda.
I think definitely the library portion has to be 1-story. I think Priscilla made that pretty clear. So that part of it has to be 1-story. As far as I can tell, the town hall and the historical society, it really doesn't matter to them, the 1-story, except the storage. It sounded to me from previous meetings, a basement area sounded like it was good for storage, because of better climate control from what you guys were saying.
you don't have a light issue, you can control the climate, and it's accessible without actually taking up any of your space. So yeah, basement's good.
So I agree with Ed, and
I don't think it would be a big
discussing that.
problem there.
If we can have a basement, that would be good. I don't know if there's gonna be issues on the property. One issue that wasn't brought up as far, besides the foundations, someone else said there's a pipe, a water carrying pipe that
Yep.
runs diagonally through
Yeah, that's
the,
this right here,
yeah,
Just not where
so,
you located.
yeah.
so that is something that,
Well,
Talks
no
about
matter what,
location.
That's
no
a
matter
matter of
what
just
it is.
relocating the
Yeah.
park.
So that's, I don't know
18
how
inch
big of an
sanitary
issue
sewer.
that is. That's gonna have to be
Yeah.
considered. And I feel similarly to Ed as far as the location on the land, that it should be back away from that corner, not up close to the corner. And I hadn't really thought about the traffic so much as the townspeople. I think it would be a bigger shock to the townspeople to have it all of a sudden take up that and not have the green area, to have it set back a little. And I think you'd be able to see it just fine. I don't think, it would be hidden because it's set back further. I think you'd be able to see it just fine. And I think because of how big the parking is, you're gonna have to have two entrances, two fairly main entrances anyway, because you're gonna have a considerable amount of parking. So, I don't know what kind of configuration, but a one-story library and maybe two towers that maybe connect or something like that. I like Doug's idea about having some kind of grand, or whatever you would call it, entrance where maybe the historical society could sort of change out displays or something like that from their type of thing and
Yeah,
show
we were
off.
just talking about that, yeah.
That Mayor Falzarano had sort of said that was kind of something he was talking about, where you can tie those things together. So I think those ideas that were kind of rattling around in my head, and maybe combine some of our ideas and show them, start having some meetings as soon as we can with some of these ideas, with inviting the townspeople so that they can start saying, I like A, I like B, or I like C, or I like D, and get some input, because I don't think if we don't do that, that it's gonna be accepted. I don't think it's gonna be voted up, I think it's gonna be voted down. If we all decide on it and say, here, vote yes or no, I think it'll be no. Just know the history of how people in this town have voted on things. That's my 2 cents.
What about you? Last.
I also like the idea of a two-story building. If the library needs to have one story, then certainly that could be accommodated. We'll put overflow town hall offices up above it. And I also think that we need, obviously, to build for the future, have a few offices that don't really have a use for right now. We'll grow into it in 15, 20, or 30 years. If we build this thing correctly, it'll be the town hall for what, the next 75 to 100 years maybe? So, build it for the future. So two-story, library on one lower level. I think some of it should have a full basement. I don't know if we can go with all of it, but maybe half the building with a full basement. That's still an awful lot of space. And as Linda said, I like the idea of an area that you walk into, an atrium, nothing really fancy, but something that can accommodate a larger number of people coming in or out and then making the decision as to where they've got to go. Do they go left or right or go straight? Or they can mill about. And maybe in that area, the Historical Society could have, say, like, the only thing I can think of right now are trophy cases, if you will, to have artifacts and photos and pictures of Putnam's history that can be changed periodically, displays and exhibits. And I also like the idea of course, the town hall and library being separated, and then the common area in between. The large meeting room, I think 200 is far too big for it, but 125 would probably be right on the money. In that common area, the Historical Society could have their smaller area that they would want, and the larger area for storage and whatnot could be wherever, basement, upstairs. Yeah. So that's where I'm at, and as far as location goes, I personally would like to see it further back from the road. A building like this, close to both roads, Woodstock Ave, 44, a building would dominate the view. If you're driving by in a car, it would just dominate, and also, I agree with Ed, the road noise. And I don't think that that's something that we want to have to deal with in a brand-new facility for the next 75 years.
Kind of support everything they said. I'm definitely two-story. I'm definitely with some kind of basement area for storage, both for the town hall and Historical Society. I was very pleased with Ms. Blanchett's preliminary layout of the roadway entries, kind of opened our eyes as to how much road and parking area we're going to need, how it impacts that site. I think that was critical, that was important. There were a couple options there that looked good with the exit way out towards Walnut Street. That seemed appropriate. I'm in total agreement that the library should have first floor level, absolutely. And then the remaining portion of, or one portion of the first floor for town hall, and they're going to be obligated with assessing who needs what space on the first floor, and then the second floor between other office space. I support what they. As far as placement, I agree. Too close to the intersection is a traffic situation. I think we got to pull it back more centralized. They showed a couple good examples of angling the buildings off. Atrium is a good concept for me. I like the open area, open to the second floor level. I think that would be nice. And like they said, Historic Society and good examples of display cases. That's appropriate.
I came tonight with the idea that I thought that we were gonna move the building closer to the intersection and have room for future growth for another building in the back. Once I saw Janet's projection for parking and listened to everybody, I think we're pretty much in agreement as a committee as far as where we are with this. And I certainly agree that we should be further back on the lot. The two-story is definitely the most efficient way. I think we've got to really look at the square footage of the building, because I think that the idea of the meeting room being that large, I don't think it needs to be. If we have a meeting that big, we can use the auditorium at the middle school. As far as the size of the town hall, this building is 10,000 square feet. Taking the Board of Ed out of this building, I know it's not configured properly, but looking at the square footage, I know they all came with a wish list to you, Mallory, with it. And it's nice that we have a big town hall, but I think maybe we make the building aesthetically pleasing, but also have the ability that 50 years down the road they can add on to it. Because I don't think you're going to get that 19,000 square feet through the voters right now. Not going from a 10,000 square foot building now. I just don't. So, yes.
When you're done.
Yeah, well, as far as the committee is concerned, I don't have a problem with what anybody said. I think you're right, Ann, we should be not a square box, it should be aesthetically pleasing. The idea of separating in and putting this atrium area in the middle, that sounds great, and backing it up from the intersection and using both entrance and exit from 171 and Route 44 to Route 12 is fine, but I think at this point, is there any objections from anybody from the library or Aspen listening to what the committee has said here before we turn this thing over? Yes, Bill?
Yeah. The only comment, I mean, you're talking about a hard sell as far as this building being X number of square feet, and you're proposing a building that might be big. You've got to take into consideration the square footage of the library, the square footage that we have, which is, in both cases, not big enough, and they have upstairs and downstairs.
Right.
And we have 3 floors, so the total package that we're trying to sell is gonna incorporate the 3 properties, no?
I'm strictly, I don't think we don't have a problem with the 16,000. That,
Oh,
pretty
okay.
much that's in stone.
Okay.
And your area, we're talking 3,000 and then another 3,000 for storage.
Yeah.
So you're okay. It's the town hall that I think that everybody seems to have a problem with. It's that 19,000 seems to be, am I wrong, committee? It seems to be pie in the sky. I'll ask the selectmen, what do you guys?
Well, I got a little nervous when you guys added up your square footage and came up to 38,000. And, you know, doing the quick math, is it 300 square foot, is it 400 square foot, you know? And we're looking 12 to 16 million, just a rough figure. And I'm like, how are you gonna sell that? Just to give you a barometer, the school at 36 looks like it's gonna net out at about 9 to 10 million, is gonna be the local share. Originally, we sold it with 16 million as a local share. It's because of our extra funding for the entire project, it looks like it's gonna come in around 10. So we're gonna start the permanent financing on that next year. We're just paying interest only. And we're internally looking at what that impact's gonna be, and we're looking like a mill, okay? So, now I'm looking at 38,000 square feet, it's like, wow.
So 32 would be something more reasonable.
Yeah, and in terms of, does the town hall, if this is 10 and we're losing the Board of Ed, I don't think we need 19.
No.
No, I mean, if you're counting that meeting room as part of the town hall, that's kind of a
Well,
shared
it's gonna come
thing.
somewhere.
Yeah, but I'm just
It's not
saying,
in the 16 and it's not in the 3.
right, so I
it's gotta
mean,
be
so
in
you
a-
gotta factor whatever that meeting room is, but in terms of the actual town hall, I don't think you need the 19.
Yeah, but you've got a meeting room here, as small as it is,
Right.
and one downstairs.
Yeah.
Not much down there. The person that manages the calendar, we're generally double booked,
Yep.
and sometimes we're using the word.
Well, we've told them that we want space that we can divide up. In other words, there might be 2 rooms and then the big room can be divided in half or thirds.
And then
We're always double booked too.
And then
and-
considering your
Yeah.
programming and,
Yeah.
so.
But, so take the town hall as it functions now. Yes, there's not enough room, but
We
the
don't
Board
need
of Ed,
double.
the Board of Ed space that's downstairs would be turned into your meeting space on top of this and on top of the room down on the bottom floor. So you're going bigger than this.
We should probably clarify something.
Yeah.
That number, the 19,
Yeah.
included the meeting room,
Yeah.
and it included like common lobby area and stuff, so
So yeah.
it may be a little inflated. I mean, if we look at it, maybe the net is, you know, the net square footage, or net usable is smaller. So, you know,
So
I just wanted to
this,
clarify that.
the 6,000 square feet we're talking about for the Aspenark, and part of it being in the basement, you're counting that basement space as space, right?
No, Not the
I
in that
wouldn't-
38 number, no.
Oh, okay.
Not in 38.
Well, that's
That's worse.
certainly usable space for us, because you can run in the elevator to the bottom floor. I mean,
Yeah.
just because it doesn't have windows doesn't make it.
I mean, it's not
Look what
gonna
we
be
do down
free.
here.
But it's not, what is it, 400, whatever per square foot?
It wouldn't register at that number, no.
A lot of what we're hearing was, everyone was saying, this is what we need, but we're assuming that there's gonna be storage space in the basement for us too. So I'm pretty sure that came from, you know, probably 8 out of the 10 people that we would speak with. The 38 is assuming that the 3,000 for storage for the Historical Society could be in the basement. The mechanical space has been calculated in the basement. Extra spaces, simply like the elevator, room in the basement, so.
So the vault, let's talk about the vault for a minute. The vault would be a three-floor vault? No?
No.
The
No,
vault
the-
would be just for the town clerk, or the vault would also serve the library?
Yeah, we don't need a vault.
The majority of the, after speaking with everyone, not everyone needs to have the vault, like, they just use it as storage, and they can get away with 1 or 2 fireproof cabinets. It's much more expensive
Okay.
to build
A vault.
a couple of vaults around, than just provide a couple of, fireproof cabinets. But also, the town clerk mentioned she's like bursting at the seams there. And what they have in Woodstock is, I believe it was 25 by 40.
And they have one
Two-story.
below it.
And they
yeah,
have one right
two-story.
below it.
Yes, right. And that's what we have here now, one right below it.
Right, right.
There must be, as architects, there must be data to say, if you have a town of 10,000 people, your town hall
Size
is
of the hall.
X square feet. If you have a,
Yeah,
It's a little bit different.
yeah,
You know, you take this town, for instance, where we have Day Kimball Hospital here.
that's
Our
right.
town clerk's office is much busier than a town clerk's
Than a
office in a
normal.
town that doesn't have a hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we have to take into account as well.
But I'm just wondering how we are on that scale. You know, 10,000, the town of 10,000 people with a hospital
Right.
is a 19,000 square foot town hall with, including the meeting space towards the one end, or
Yeah.
where are we at? In terms of,
I
You don't know that.
Yeah.
consensus, no,
All right.
I don't know
No,
off,
yeah.
not offhand.
The only extra things the hospital gives us is birth certificates and death certificates, right? It doesn't give us any more
right,
land or any more
The traffic,
marriage or any,
of the traffic, in the
What?
town clerk's
A lot of
office.
traffic.
Because people come and need copies of birth certificates or
Right.
death certificates, the traffic, not just the paper, but the people.
but I mean, compared to other towns, the birth certificate,
Well,
death certificate, right? I mean, there's nothing else.
There's the
Oh, they
birth,
do
she
a
has the
lot more
birth
to that.
certificates, that have 2 typewriters like dedicated to that, and then there's 2 separate stations that each have 2 computers for the land records, one that lives in the vault and one out. So they have a lot of extra,
But I mean, every town has
Workstation.
land records.
Well, that's because you have
Right.
a lot of people coming in doing different things. 'Cause I've been in there when there's been at least 5, 6, 7 people
yeah,
at one time.
probably gets cramped.
And then you have people that come in and do genealogy,
Well,
and you've got people that come in
Well,
and
but
just
that's
do
the same thing in
research.
every town, that's.
well, what we have different than, you know, like going to Woodstock. Woodstock's basically rural. They only have like 3 industry in the whole town. Here you have, our economic development is much bigger, and we have a lot of businesses and commercial in this town. So you're definitely gonna have a lot more use in the town hall, because there's smaller tracts that change hands, businesses, not just farmland like you have in Woodstock. So it might be a similar sized town as far as the number of people.
For
are
different
concerned.
reasons.
But the
Not
town hall is
specific
used
hospital, yeah.
way more than it is in Woodstock. Yes, sir.
Going back to Ms. Blanchett, there was one preliminary parking area that kind of looped out towards Water Street. Point of interest is that those 3 residential houses that face on Bowl Street, I think it's important and critical that we provide them with as much green space between separation to provide them some privacy.
And not to cause controversy, but a little parking for them also.
They would gobble that overflow up.
That one, yes, I thought that,
Yeah.
when I saw that, I
Yeah.
didn't think that, they would like that, but
Yeah.
maybe it would be
It's a
nice
buffer.
for somebody to
Talk to them.
approach them, yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and show them that first, before they heard from somebody else, so
I
that
see.
they got inside scoop. I think it would be nice.
And a lot of those houses have no on-site parking.
Correct. They're parking from the street.
Right. And in the winter, they can't park on the street, so they're gonna park someplace. I think you gotta make them some proviso, like they're doing now.
Maybe like a tree buffer, I don't know how you do that, but
How many years have they been going through that?
We've been in court with Mr. Perry for the last 5 years.
Thank you.
And all his bin is just over 3 feet wide, and he complains about anybody parking in that parking lot. And we've been to court, you know, he keeps on appealing every time, we beat him everywhere, but
Oh, now look at the
he keeps
big one,
going.
like it.
Oh, he'll be in an uproar no matter what you put there.
He was sitting at his table in his backyard when we were out.
Oh, was
there.
he? Yeah.
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 So you
So
don't think
we're
it's
supposed to
like
put
that?
up a fence, but whether
What is there?
we get the fence up or not, I don't know.
With the vault, I don't know if Rhode Island's the same, I'm sure you guys know this, but there's not supposed to be any outlets in the vault at all.
Outlets?
Yeah, for fire.
No outlets, no fans, just for FOI requirements for the state of Connecticut, because anything can cause a fire. And because of the type of documents you have in the vault, you're not supposed to have any, no electrical outlets. And we do right now, because one of the workstations is actually in the vault.
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah.
Don't tell the fire marshal that.
What is that?
Tell him last.
There's a camera blocking my
That's
exit.
What are they using, electrical cord?
No, there's outlets in the vault, one of the workstations where people do
Now, see, that's how
research.
laws change. I'm sure when they built it, it was
It was
permissible.
probably fine, yeah.
Yeah,
You got a fire extinguisher there,
When they
right?
built it, you could hitch horses.
You know,
yes, Bill.
we talked about, I mean, I like the idea of setting it back from the corner. If you're gonna have green space in front, the building is still gonna be a focal point.
Yeah.
Now, when I was coaching soccer for the high school, they did a renovation on that field and it's completely irrigated and, oh, it was the cat's meow, this was gonna be the best thing in the world. However, all that is there, only we had to shut it down because I don't know whether it was recreation budget that couldn't afford it or town couldn't afford it. Now, if you're gonna have a whole lot of green space over there, there's gonna be a real lot of maintenance and water that's gotta go into that. Is that gonna, does that have to figure into our cell package
Yeah.
for this building? And we can't afford to put water on the fields anymore.
I do know there's some grass available now, and I know UConn was working with it, because I got involved with it as far as putting it down for recreation fields that do not require, new type of seed that does not require irrigation. So, maybe we ought
They
to.
call it plastic.
Yeah, that's very
That's a good
expensive.
point. I think that's a good point, and maintenance of, you know, just like why we're thinking about the footprint being smaller and the position of the building to use the sun, you know, maybe solar panel, all those, because building is
You know
one
what I see,
thing.
you know, that's a nice
Running
idea,
it is a
but,
whole other.
but you know what I noticed when we went and looked at all those libraries? With all the buildings that had big glass, shades. They were down most of the time. They don't get the sun, they close the shades, so you don't see outside to begin with.
Well, then maybe they put their windows in the wrong place. I mean,
Yeah, maybe we could have
All
sunshades
around.
too.
I mean, that's
outside
a
the
part of
building.
what has to be, that's what they're for, they have to consider.
And then in the winter, it's cold. Glass is cold.
They didn't build it right, perhaps. I don't know.
You have both worlds.
One of the places that we had looked at and we talked a little bit about in the van, had parking for the employees behind the building. And this may be a safety issue that nobody wants to go there. But instead of thinking that the building is going to be pretty much all the way in the back, or even if it has a walking path around it and stuff, maybe if we brought it out a little bit further so that the employee parking could be behind it, and an entrance, you know, for them to get in and out that way, maybe it would cut down on the amount of parking that has to be in the front of the building.
You didn't have a lot of that.
No, it didn't have a
None
lot
in the front.
Yeah, I think most of the parking options were all
It's all
behind the building.
behind.
Oh, I know, in the building.
Depends on what you call the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing in the front but green.
Over on the Aspenac and then over where that. well, I
Okay,
guess
that
it-
wasn't,
Along
Well,
the
that was for 200 spaces?
Yeah.
You enter in
So you
the
can enter,
Huh?
None of those
And the
actually were as
back
high
has
as
to be in
200, they
front.
were between
Right.
135
So we have to
and
make sure we have two fronts.
174.
Right.
so,
Absolutely.
you know, you have to make sure that it's, you know, you're not entering the back of the building.
Yeah. So it's, like you say, that's two fronts.
You might just enter in the middle of the building from
Yep.
both sides.
Yep,
And if
yep.
you're coming specifically to go to the library, you probably park in a different area than if
Right.
you're going specifically to go to the.
Not that there's only one main entrance.
But there's
Well,
not
it
going
could
to be,
be.
that's what they were saying, there'd probably be two main entrances.
Okay, so you're gonna have an entrance for the library and an entrance, a main
Oh,
entrance.
you're talking about for the, into the building.
On the
Yeah.
No,
inside,
he's
Not the
talking
parking.
about
the central.
In the
the
middle.
front of the building, gonna have a formal entrance.
Like a
And
pedestrian.
you're gonna have
Right.
another one in the
Flagpole.
back, so that you enter a foyer and go to the library, the town hall, wherever you wanna go.
It won't look like a back
If,
door.
that's my understanding.
It
Right.
won't look like you're coming in the back door.
So this green area in the front, the recreation department has a plan to incorporate a playscape into that site. That should be behind the building?
Or
in front
perhaps
of
on
it?
the side, you know.
In the corner.
Shouldn't be in
Yeah,
front
off
of
to
the
the
building,
side.
taken away
Is
from
this-
the
Is this
aesthetics.
property
Right.
gonna be fenced in for the kids?
We should get,
And you know, when you have a
Yeah, that's
playscape,
what I
you're
want
gonna
to
consider concessions today.
we should get that as part of the program,
Yes,
you know,
really.
the size of it and what we're expecting
You know,
for that.
That's a liability.
We're gonna have to
In
figure
in
out.
this day and age,
how
if
big
you
that
have,
is.
if you have no parking
Okay.
on this ball field, on the softball field side of the building, but that's gonna be your main entrance, people will not walk around there, they're gonna use the back entrance.
Oh, yeah.
That front entrance.
So that's what he was saying
So
about.
we're gonna have a front
Two
entrance
fronts.
in the back of the building. In other
Yeah,
words,
yeah, okay,
they'll both be legitimate entrances.
yeah.
You wanna make sure that if, you know, I mean, it's a very pedestrian oriented space, you know, people will be walking around, and certainly if they're walking the library, they should be able to walk down, you know, through the intersection and right into the building and not have to walk around where the parking is.
Mhm.
So, but I think what we're talking about conceptually would lay out very, very well for entrances from both sides.
So has this been helpful to you?
Yeah, this has been very helpful. I mean, it's, you know, we sat in our office, we had a meeting, and, you know, we came up with a lot of different ideas, but it's, you know, as we always say, the project really has to emerge from the group, so I think this has been very helpful. I think there are a couple things. I know when we were talking, when you guys heard the 19,000 feet, we were like, oh, it's way too big, way too big. But then we also were, you know, I heard, well, we should plan for the future. So I think it's important that we take a careful look at all those spaces. And we have the program essentially
Well,
ready for, you know, diagrammed out.
right, and you're leading well into it. I think it would be important to talk about what spaces really are and aren't going into the town hall. There's been a lot of discussion as far as different departments, WPCA, are they in the town hall, not in the town hall?
Let's stop right there.
Yeah.
Norm's really involved with WPC.
I'm in a meeting right now, and I'm missing.
Yes.
Okay, you got a nice cup of black water that went down the meeting.
Oh, good. Well, they're flushing, you can't satisfy everybody.
No, it's not.
Is this gonna remain a separate entity, or is this going to be privatized?
WPCA, it's a joint effort. It is town orientated with the private company managing the system. That's all.
Still ours.
But they are still responsible to the WPCA.
So they are working under a contract?
That's correct. Right now, it's a
I-
5-year contract. and it's- I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I asked because I know they have a lot of face-to-face, being part of the revenue downstairs, and if they need to be on the first floor, that's square footage.
They right now are part of the collections.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and if we need to account for
But
that,
that is not the entire WPCA.
They have their own office space
right.
outside the town.
So did you want to keep that, just the collections part of the town hall?
You're kind of asking the wrong person now. But I would assume that all the collections are going to be in the municipal building, so
Okay.
that you make one stop and pay all your bills.
Okay,
Yes.
and then the back of house, general office will be in a different location?
Mhm.
Yes, that's
And then, so that was one that was up in the air. And then also, I mentioned it quickly at the site, was the economic
Yeah.
department. And that's a big chunk of square
Let's talk
footage.
about that one then. Yes,
At some point, could I ask a question and also, whenever?
go right ahead.
Okay. So I'm Louise Broder, 45 Woodside Street, Putnam, and I'm here wearing two different hats. I'm on the library board, and I'm very excited. It's really nice to see that I just feel like we're in a good place in terms of the recommendations, the ideas. I'm hearing some great consensus among the members of the facility committee. So in terms of that hat, fantastic. This is wonderful. I feel like we're really proceeding in a positive direction. However, I also want to share some information which the facilities committee may not be aware of. And I understand this is not your regular monthly meeting, but with the permission of my chair of the group I'm about to mention, I wanted to be here tonight because I think it's an important point to be aware of as we look at the future of this building. Mayor Falzarano in January decided to get the Commission for Aging starting again, and a number of us were appointed, and I also serve on the Commission of Aging.
You're not old enough.
Excuse me.
You're not old.
Oh, there's a check in the mail for that. Thank you for lying to my face. But the point is, it is an amazing group that's moving very rapidly, and I want to share with this group, which is important to this discussion, that we are already out in the community. We've had a number of meetings at St. Ange, Bulger. We're going to be meeting at Little River Acres. We've been at Hampshire Heights. We're having a grand kickoff for the community on June 11th at St. Mary's that we're going to be going on the radio to talk about it. So there's a lot of great momentum. Why do I bring this up? Because what we are hearing at the meetings already is what a great place to live, but how come every other place has a senior center but Putnam?
There you go.
So what I will share with you, I'm here with the permission of our chairperson, John Dignam, and he said, we'll put the biggest mouth on that, and that's me. But the bottom line is, I feel like this is a very timely piece of information for the facilities committee to be aware of. One of us from the commission will be at every facilities meeting going forward, because we also understand that there are other options in town. But let me just share with you, and I hope this is correct, we recently received from the Northeast District Department of Health some statistics on the chronological age of the average Putnam resident. And if this is correct, over half is 45 and up. So both now and going forward, we are talking that the largest portion of our population is going to be one that fits into the senior category. And I want to be clear, we haven't even decided what senior looks like. AARP says 50, other people say 62. We just said, we're not defining it at this point. But I will tell you that overwhelmingly we are hearing from people, we love Putnam, there's so much that goes on, but what about something for the seniors? And if I'm at last point, I've lived in Putnam a good portion of my life, and I'm very excited about the library, the town hall, the historic society. I am beyond enthusiastic. But if we consider a senior to this mix, you may have found your final selling point.
Well,
Thank you.
well,
And I understand there's other properties in consideration.
well, you haven't been in front of the, to all these committee meetings. We've been talking about this for a long time.
I am aware.
I've been on this committee for 20 years. No lie, 20 years this year.
He was a junior when he started.
That's what I say. One of my missions from the beginning was town hall and a community center, basically a senior center. And when I started, I wasn't, but I am now.
And I will tell you, there's already, this concept of what we're talking about is already out there in the community.
Oh, yeah.
And overwhelming there, it's like, oh my God, to have that in the same place as the library, people who would use it are on board already.
But this common area we've been talking about tonight, 125 in another meeting room or whatever, the idea of that would be supported by a kitchen. So that space would be, during the day, the meetings are at night. The senior programs mostly run during the day.
Right.
If you go to the Canterbury Town Hall, one of the ones we've talked about a lot, you walk into Canterbury Town Hall, right ahead is the library, to the right's the town hall, to the left is the meeting room they use at night for zoning meetings and wetlands meetings. But during the day, they got a beautiful kitchen in there, and the senior programs going on there every day. It's a community room.
Right. I would like to bring this in light of the recent article about we would be open to any space, but of course, there was a recent article about the Armory, and the word senior center
Well,
did
we're
come
gonna
up.
talk about that later too. because
Absolutely.
that
And I don't wanna
space-
bring it
that
up at the wrong
space-
meeting.
That space is still gonna,
Right,
is
but I
still-
just wanna make sure
gonna
that we
be
go on
available.
record, that we're very interested in any space, but this is something that the senior community has already brought up, how great it would be to be under
Well,
one roof.
We, as soon as LLB gets us, from what we're given tonight, a more refined idea of where we're going, we need to come and talk to the seniors.
Wonderful.
And we need to get some more input when we actually have a floor plan to see how they feel it's usable for them or not usable for them.
I mean, it may be simply a matter of making it a flexible space.
Right.
Right.
You can take furniture and you move it in and out, you can have some storage for various things. I mean, that's just a program tweak, really. I mean, to use the same space as a flexible
Wonderful.
overlay program is something we're using across the board and on every project type because of the cost of the square footage.
Right.
So institutional work, universities, colleges, we're all doing that,
Right.
so.
And it's something that can grow with us, as we've talked this evening about a space that's gonna take us into the future, that's gonna meet the needs of us now and 75 years down the road. So thank you,
I'm glad you
Oh,
spoke
thank
up.
you.
thank you.
Yes.
July 11th, be
Put
there,
your
St.
kitchen
Mary's
in,
1 to
that's
3.
That's
We'll have our
the
kickoff.
article accelerator too.
Thompson Library / Community Center, people think of it as a senior center, but it's not. It's a community center, which is a big room, which is cut into 2 or 3 sections. But if you go during the day, they have yoga, they have blah, 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 blah. So they're not specifically a senior center,
Mhm.
they're a community center, but it acts
function
like you're
as a-
talking about, flexibility, right?
And one last point that you folks may not be aware of, we already have, which Miss Denise lovingly monitors for us, we already have a website within the town website, and
Okay.
we're already getting comments,
Good.
questions, and we're sort of defining what our role is going to be, but it's really moving ahead rather quickly.
What time did you say that meeting was?
It's going to be Saturday, June 11th, from 1 to 3 at St. Mary's Hall. We thought we should pick a nice space that's cool and handicapped accessible and large. So we were able to get that free of charge.
See, one thing about this whole project, we're gonna talk about the athletic fields later, because we had to move Top Hawk to this new location, and this has a lot of things that parents of school children and parents of kids that are in athletics would be interested in, plus there's a walking trail around the outside. There's a lot of things that appeal to a lot of people here. So now you have the people that are interested in the library, you have people that are interested in historical society, people that are interested in senior center park, and now we're talking about the athletics. So hopefully we've touched about everybody that lives in our community. So the idea of making it palatable to the entire population, we're hoping that we're hitting the wall here.
So what I hear you say is that if we include in the plan something for seniors, that the chances that it will be voted on by the people of Putnam will increase.
I feel fairly certain that that is true because you're meeting a very large segment, both now and going forward. We are already hearing that
Yeah.
in a very short period of time. I think, in this case, more is more for Putnam residents. And I just think that it is, we talk about, I visualize this beautiful atrium with, I can just see people coming in and saying, oh my God, remember when that happened? And let me tell you about, and I just think it's gonna, I just feel like it's gonna create its own culture and its own community.
Synergy.
Good point.
Yes.
I'm really excited about the Historical Society
Me too.
with the library for the kids to come in there and be able to learn about the history of it.
Absolutely.
Go back to Mallory.
Yes.
And I have
Yes.
one more to
Scott.
tack on to that.
You started economic development.
And then
Yes.
the health department, for you guys to think about.
No, there's no health.
There's no health department. That was one thing that was like.
No, we have an office.
We're not healthy.
They've already cut the program.
No, that's.
We have a
that's
They
a
didn't
separate
come, they don't get a vote.
Quasi-public entity that's handled in districts.
Okay,
What about economic development?
so the economic development was originally part of the 2000 facility study. And it's a pretty big space, around 2,100 square feet.
That was that's with conference rooms.
Yes, yep. And we haven't really heard a definitive, yes, it's part of this project, or no, it's not part of this
It would
project.
be.
My opinion is that part of the town facilities, and it should be all part of municipal. And why are we separate and independent, throwing them down, placing them downtown, independent office? Sooner or later,
Rent.
Was Delta interviewed as part of this process?
No.
And that was
That's the way she likes it.
administrator's direction.
Well,
That was administrative.
right now, she's being subsidized for rent. Sooner or later, that's gonna come to an end. And then we're gonna have to pay rent or provide her space in the municipal building.
Into an available space in the town hall.
I got two selectmen here, give me some direction.
I'd add 2,000
Three.
feet more.
Three, I'm sorry.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
You don't have the health
Not in the
department.
basement eyes like we.
well, I think this is gonna take care of itself when the Board of Ed.
Board of
moves
Ed
out.
moves out, yeah.
Yeah, because there's
Yeah.
gonna be
But I mean,
space
long-
for economic
long
development
term,
in this
yeah.
building.
Okay,
If you're making a building,
You
You
got
gotta
a
They
plan.
gotta be.
yeah,
okay.
unless you
That's
can
good.
find an old mill somewhere.
So that, yeah, we know how that goes. But,
That's an
so
inside
that,
joke.
you might be making. a
Alan,
case
another
for
thing you
this.
talked about the rec department
Yes.
Yeah,
going down to the armory, that may or may not
No,
happen.
that's in the plan.
I think it's gonna be in this,
Yeah.
it is.
because everybody comes there and pays for stuff at the town hall
That's
for
good.
rec and,
Well,
you know.
the other advantage of the economic development being in the town hall is that when somebody comes into town, say a business comes into town and they wanna come in and see what's available to locate, with, you know, the tech park, the industrial park, whatever, they come into the town hall and they wanna talk to somebody, yeah, they go to the mayor's office, and it's one-stop shopping, they should be able to see the economic development director, at the same time they go to the assessor's office, so, to me, that's where it belongs.
And you brought up a good point, was the, parks, public works and recreation, at the moment they share,
The
an
secretary.
assistant, yes.
we share
Do you see that being, as moving into the future the same way, or would you?
I
would
know
they-
neither one of them have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Right, okay,
I don't think that would.
okay.
Willie and Jerry sharing Linda.
Sounds too good, but
Perhaps you would phrase that.
the answer's phone for both.
That's you.
Dirty books in that library, that's
Actually, you're the one that brought that up.
Small town.
Veterans office, is that on your list?
I'm
What
sorry?
is that?
Veterans?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so they should have a space. in
Registrar of voters?
Registrar of voters, one space, but the majority of that space has been cut.
Okay.
And,
We'll talk about that with the Armory.
yeah, it probably would be best for us to get you guys, an updated program space that was the consensus from everyone's meeting.
And you guys can mark it up.
You guys can mark it up, so that would be good.
It almost seems like we're going to have to meet with the department heads and
I
talk
think
about
that's part of that.
just exactly what you talked about, but in a different light, if you know what I mean.
Well, the nice thing about it is we have it in a format here that it's kind of easy to look at and it's very, you know, it's laid out, so it gives you something to work with.
Well, probably if we end up meeting with them one by one, next meeting or something, that maybe at least Mallory should be here with us.
Yeah, I've updated the, plan, so we're ready to go on that, and I can send them through with an updated, program statement.
Because we gotta nail down this size of the space.
What about the selectmen chambers? Is that separate, or a separate room for us to meet?
I think that was part
part of
of the
Meeting
we're
with
calling
Congress.
It's the
common
So
common,
now we're gonna have
program
community,
space,
selectmen chambers,
senior
everything,
center.
all in one place?
Well, there's more than one room. right? Is there gonna be more than one room?
So right now, there's been requests for one room, and I think it would be prudent that we talk about maybe smaller conference rooms.
Break
Well,
up
You
the
saw,
spaces.
you saw what you saw what Woodstock has.
Yes, I did, yep, yeah.
How much is Woodstock cost? Roughly.
They got 100 in that room and it's not big enough.
Do I think they're like I think they're 18,000, is that right?
What, population?
No,
No,
square footage?
Square footage for the building.
Is it
I
right?
was talking about people.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I'm always thinking.
Refreshing.
They've
I
got-
don't know what
They've
price
got at
it's
least
about
five
anyways.
different meeting rooms in that building.
Mm, They're ready for growth, though, in that building.
Yeah, they got some space they're not even using.
Down the back.
But we gotta talk about this basement and how it can function, because nobody wants to be in the basement, but it's certainly gonna be functional space for us.
Of course.
If you're gonna have an atrium, just put the basement under that. That's gonna be plenty big enough if you're coming out front and have a half moon around, and then in the back with the other building and the half moon in the back a little bit. You got plenty of space underneath. I mean, I don't know, make it as big as you want.
For us.
But see, when you're doing a basement, they can tell us if I'm wrong, but if you gotta go down to put a frost wall in, you're gonna go down 4 feet, and you're gonna go down, only gonna go down 4 more feet. You might as well put, and you gotta put an elevator down there anyways, you might as well finish it off and have it all for future storage. Am I wrong?
No, I think the concept of actually bringing some daylight down into certain spaces down in the basement would be appropriate, and we would definitely look at that.
That's what Doug was talking about when he was
Right.
talking about getting.
And I think that concept could apply whether we have the back open or not. I mean, you can do it from within. And
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You know, the idea of actually opening up the atrium or parts of it,
Yeah.
to have natural light come into maybe some liner sections that maybe there are, you know, some spaces down there that, you know, the program would work. And since we're gonna build the space anyway.
Sounds neat, sounds neat. So, do we need to,
I
we got
can't
plenty
I
of
think we have
direction?
plenty to do, and I.
38
we'll get this out.
thousand square feet's okay, I think. That's what it looks like now.
Yeah, when you bring in
Yeah.
the economic development
Yeah.
and recreation.
And so we'll,
Community room.
the current
Senior center.
version based on what we have gone over today, and have you guys, you know, mark it up, and we
Yeah.
can come,
Yep.
you know, and walk through, you know, with meetings with everyone,
12 to 16 million.
and refine this program.
So then J&D can do the parking to the
Yep.
rear of the
And
building?
so, yeah, one of our next steps, I think, will be to try out different configurations based on what we have here, different configurations on the site, and look at conceptual design. You know, I think it's been a very good exercise today.
In recreation, and Owen can speak to this, has an idea of what they want to put in there for this place.
Yeah, we have
to-
that.
Right.
It's kinda out of space. The thing really is pretty fancy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Willie has a drawing how big, how much space we need and everything. It costs $100,000.
So we can get that from you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Willie is the recreation director, so I could contact him if he has a plan.
What's that?
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's all different stuff. Willie has a diary. I only saw it one day for 1
Is it
minute.
down on one belt?
No, it's not the water park.
Rubberized.
Yeah, it is. It's gorgeous. I only saw a picture of it, so
You're too optimistic.
it looked freaky.
All right, unless we,
Every kid would wanna go there.
anybody else has
Oh,
anything
yeah.
else to talk
I
about
wanna go
about
there.
the building, we're gonna move on and talk about Sabin Street a little bit.
Okay. We all set then?
That's the most important thing. We don't get this done, we get nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Great help.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
You were saving suit with us too?
No, but I'm interested in it, so I'm
Oh.
gonna pay attention.
I didn't answer the open house invite.
Not yet, maybe someday.
You tell whoever done. They are gonna be represented.
Oh, great. No, but
I'm interested.
Especially if you have those chocolate covered espresso beans.
I think we're having a stuffing session like next week, all of us. Have you been to the office?
Okay, I
Oh,
got it.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you put the parking on there.
All right, moving on to agenda item B, under old business. We have a map that Messier Surveying LLC brought to the town hall today. And this went to recreation last meeting, and Owen's Recreation Committee had some changes, and I believe that the changes were made on here.
Yeah, I think it looks good now, yeah.
So I went with them today over there to the site and showed them where the bridge would go and where the driveway comes out, the old practice football field, and how the traffic flow would go for the earth removal and backfill of St. Marie Green Hall, and how the eventual traffic would go up to the parking lot for the elementary school. So they're factoring all that into a plan, and I brought them down and introduced them to Brenda downstairs and got them set up with the applications that are necessary for wetlands and zoning. So they're supposed to be in wetlands and zoning for this next month, which will be June.
Because, you know, I think we all know if we don't get the acreage for this,
Yeah,
nothing's gonna happen. No library, no town hall, no nothing.
this is like dominoes.
One after the other.
Yeah, so as far as what Doug said today, they're pretty sure they have this secured with property they have over in West Putnam, between what's the entrance of the old landfill and some adjoining property that's gonna be donated, so they need to come up with 20, what is it?
Hey, Bill.
This
Thank you.
This is like 20 acres.
Yeah.
So they need to come up with 3 acres of active recreation to replace Owen Todd Field. 3 acres of active. And then this was passive recreation.
Yeah.
And we need to come up with like 18 acres or so of passive recreation land. And this is what they found, a combination of both in West Putnam that they think they can bring to the state to take care of it. And I asked them the question today, I said, you haven't firmed it up, but you're gonna be able to get it in one place or the other. He shook his head yes, and as far as, I said, does that stop us from going forward with this? He said, no. We can go forward with getting it through zoning, and hopefully that we'd be able to go to the voters in July.
Yeah.
And that would be a month prior to anything to do with the municipal complex, because this needs to be done first. Does that make sense to the committee?
Just for a point of interest,
Yep.
looking at this, having Saban Street to the left, where is the armory located? I think it's over in this direction.
You see where that bridge goes
Yes.
across the river?
Right.
It's down here, the armory's down,
It's in this area.
right down in this area.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Because this comes out,
Where the football field is.
yeah, but on the end of the football field towards the middle school, not
Right.
the elementary
Right,
school.
right.
Because down here, there's a bunch of wetlands on the edge of the river, so
Yes.
that lines up perfectly. The bridge only has to be 38 feet long to cross in that space, and there's hard ground on both sides.
Okay.
So, he also went to the other site, the 20-acre site on Woodstock Avenue today, tried to pick up some of the boundaries in the back over there, because they're looking at that at the same time, because that engineering contract that we got with them was for both sites. So now they're tying together the earth removal on both sites. So he wasn't able to do as much there today as he thought, because it's such a mess in back of those houses, briars and people squatting on town land, and so he's going to do it back on the computer and then come back, but he spent a lot of time today flagging the boundary over here for the cut line, so he went off the street and did 150 feet or whatever it is in, and he marked all that. And so I have some information on the logging and land clearing, which
What's
is
the cut line?
the cut line. What's that mean? That means the buffer zone from
the road.
Saban Street. You see where it's drawn on here, where the, you see where the slope stops?
Yeah.
Where the slope stops, that's the cut line.
Okay.
Yeah, so it says 580,000 cubic
Yeah,
yards.
it's all trees on the edge of the road, yeah, so the tree buffer. And what I've learned from talking to two different concepts, one's a logger and the other one's a land clearer. The land clearer, to make this right, to get the material removed, takes out everything. He chips everything, trees, stumps, brush, everything goes through and they make mulch out of it. They mulch it on site and they take it away. If it goes in there just the way it is, it's $3,000 an acre. It costs us to get it done, but everything's gone. The stumps are gone, it's ready to stop moving material. If you have somebody come in and cut the logs, the valuable, supposedly valuable logs out of there, the select cut, and to have that land clearing guy come back and do the stumps and the brush afterwards, it's $7,000. Because
more.
But what do you
he's
make
gonna
on,
clean up somebody else's mess.
Yeah.
but what do you make on the logs?
$40,000 for the logs, so.
How many acres you got?
21
So 20,
whatever.
I think it's 22 that we're disturbing.
22?
Yeah.
So you got a differential of 3.
So 22 times
3,000 is 60.
is
Yep.
66.
I have a question. On the Woodstock Avenue side,
Yeah, it's not shown on this map.
right, I understand that. But there's property on that whole Woodstock Ave that kind of borders the town property.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
21 acres, I think. I think it's 21
21
acres.
acres, yeah.
Right, but if I recall correctly, and if I recall correctly, remember when Howard Gold had come in here, he
Yep.
was talking about his property, bordered that property.
Yep.
That's right.
But he passed away.
Yep.
I wonder if that land is now available.
No, that land has been sold. A gentleman bought it, I can't think, Fran is his first name. He bought the both property, and he had ended up
At the
with,
intersection?
at the intersection,
Okay,
the one almost across from Senexit Road.
yes.
That was, okay. He bought that, he flipped the house, sold that. He has 3 other house lots that he's clearing. That's what all that clearing is being
Oh,
done.
from behind,
Yeah.
From behind.
okay.
There's 2 on the side, 1 in the back, and then I have the lot next to him, and he's clearing that lot as well.
Okay,
So that's all been taken care of.
okay.
So to go back to that, so the 3,000 an acre to clear, mulch, clear everything, so that would come to $66,000 for the 22 acres. And the other thing is
$40,000, around $40,000
Yeah,
for the
for the
logs,
trees.
select cut, and then you would have to have them come back and clean it up. Now,
Clean it up for 7,000
an
an acre?
acre, right. Now, there's more to this than this either. The town has been dumping stumps and brush on that
For
property
years.
for a
For
long
years.
time. And, so this guy, this ECR that came and bid it, he said he'd do it for 3,000. Well, all that stuff that's there, he's gonna take care of.
That's this CCR,
That's
is
cheap.
$3,000.
ECR,
Yeah, that's cheap.
it's pretty cheap because I went and looked at it, that is one, and I told
One mess.
Joey Martelli the other day, I said, you can't keep bringing stuff in there, it's just, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, we're gonna have to pay for this. You gotta to deal with it, don't just move it around, I mean, it's just like a shell game.
They're not doing
So why would this ECR guy mulch up trees that he could get $40,000 for?
It's easier for
Because,
them.
yeah,
It's easier.
because he sells it as mulch.
This doesn't matter.
It's all about labor. They got equipment that, they grab the whole tree, they pull it out of the ground like this, and they stuff it through
Everything.
everything. They don't ever touch it. So otherwise, you gotta
So clearly
cut it,
that's-
and
We're not gonna make any money off it.
No.
Lumber, and it's gonna be cheaper to
looks like it's cheaper to have it
Clear.
cleared.
Be a lot quicker just to get it out of there.
Yeah, the other thing with it though, we don't have to do it all right away, because all we need is the area, the slope, a little bit on the flat up on top, and the area down by the river, because the bulk of it, it's gonna take them a long time to get to it, so you
We
might
just
not.
gotta find a gravel guy who will take it out in 1 year, Alan.
Yeah, that's a big, you wouldn't want that many trucks coming out of there in 1 year,
So you just have to keep ahead of the gravel guy.
that's all.
Yeah.
Normally, that's what they do. If you're doing a normal, if this was done in a normal gravel operation, you cut a little bit, you strip from the bottom, you reclaim, the top, and you reclaim the bottom.
Yeah.
So there's never a lot open. You just go from, it's a continuous process. But in this case, it's altogether different because we're changing the use of it in the end. So, one thing we talked about is trying to build this softball field right away. And
Yeah.
this is in an area where it's pretty flat already. You could build a softball field, seeing that we're gonna take that softball field away. You might be able to get this early on, get the rest of the project going, and you might be able to make that softball field usable in year 2.
So now the theory behind this whole thing is that the gravel that comes out of here, the town is gonna be able to sell
Yep.
and pay for the making of the fields, the clearing of the trees and such.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
been determined that the amount of gravel that's under there is gonna be
Nobody's tested it yet. Until they test it, you don't really know. But it was tested in the past, and you're gonna be able to take care of this, that's for sure, because you have, the reclamation would take care of all of what they're doing, would take care of all the field space. Now, all you got left is the fencing and the lighting and the irrigation in the building. And if the calculations are right, there's 625,000 yards on this site. Now, you're also taking into consideration the 20-acre piece. I don't know how much is on that. Nobody's run the calcs on that yet. But to figure out what the two yield together, say it's only 600,000, and you minimum gonna get $1.50. So on this, it's 625.
So that's for sure.
If it's all usable, nobody's taking
You don't know
some
if
of
you
it.
actually get it out, is that what you're saying?
No, there might be some there that is not saleable at that. Meaning it's not the same quality for the entire piece. It might be rock in some of it, might be hard pan in some of it, but I don't think it's a large portion of it, but who knows until you go dig some holes. Janet can probably tell you more about that, you do that all the time. It says Hinckley on a map, a soils map, but it doesn't say exactly where it stops and where it ends.
It's not all consistent. A perfect example is at the YMCA site, when the
Yep.
gravel came up, but there were so many feet of materials on top of the
Yep.
gravel,
Yep.
that they had to pile it
Yes.
temporarily
Yep.
across the
Yep.
street. So it wasn't gravel from the surface down, you had to take
Yep.
off the top,
Yeah, the overburden in some cases is this thick, in other cases it's
8 feet.
so. But this is a perfect site too, that you can, not where the building's going, but some of the other places you can, if you have a lot of overburden, you can overdig the gravel for revenue and then put some of the overburden back in layers underneath fields. The whole field that we have, that now has out in East Putnam was all overdug, and nothing ever happened as far as settling is concerned. It's not an issue. So that's where we are with this. I guess the next thing is gonna have to go back to fields and your committee again.
Yeah.
And
Think we made it next week? Week after.
yeah. So, I guess that's, if I forgot anything, Denise, about this,
So when you go and ask the people in July about this, you won't have any gravel to pay for.
No. When this, before this goes, you're gonna have to have that nailed down. In other words, how much you're gonna get off this site. You know, how much revenue you're gonna get off this site. You can't go to a town meeting without that. I mean, that'd be you going in there blindfolded. You need to have this, it's gotta be at least a balanced. You need to go and tell the voters, which you certainly should easily be able to tell them that this is of no cost to the town. You gotta be able to do that.
This is May, and you're talking about July.
Yep. I don't think you're very far away from that. If the worst thing that could happen is we have to push this back to August and then push the town hall back to September. Wouldn't be the worst thing. You gotta keep it away from November for sure, but.
And they also have to know that this is gonna take, how long did you say?
Well, you gotta give them 5 years. Hopefully they'll get it out quicker. Moving on to the Armory, and I kind of wish that Louise had stayed a little bit for the Armory. After we spoke in committee, in this committee last time about Jerry's idea of putting a maintenance building down there, and that being so received so badly by the committee, and the committee talking about, well, let's rip the building down. It started me wearing my now hat, going back and saying, well, if that's the case now, well, why couldn't the town just allow the nonprofit to take the building and renovate it little by little and use the building for that recreation purpose, being in that location, and give the town, you know, do some kind of a agreement with the town so that could happen. So I brought that up to Doug and to Tony, and they now met with Bill St. Ange and the two of them yesterday, and they're willing to look at it, bring it to the state to see if the state will allow that to happen. And part of it would be that it would, as soon as that was able to get kids in the door, we would be able to still use it for a voting place. So, it seems like.
Does that have to be a charter revision?
No. According to them, see what the deed says, there's a deed restriction from the state to the town, that it has to be for recreation or town function.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the voting location presently or in the charter.
Oh, yeah.
It just says 2 locations, it doesn't say where they are.
Right, but West
It
Putnam
doesn't
would
say
actually-
West Putnam would still have to go to East Putnam, I
And
think.
they'd have to take,
Yeah.
West Putnam and East Putnam would have to
But it
take
just says 2
action.
locations.
Yeah.
I was
We're doing the charter over now, well,
Okay.
a couple of weeks when it started.
Are they
Okay.
gonna leave 2 locations in the charter?
That's what it says, it does say 2
Are they
locations.
gonna leave it as 2
I
locations?
think you have to, by state,
It's a
by
special
the state
service
rate,
district.
yeah.
Because West Putnam is its own tax district, as is East Putnam.
East Putnam.
Until they can truly consolidate.
I don't think that will ever happen, but we could try that, Alan, if you want.
That'll be the next thing after the town hall.
So that's why they ask you to.
Huh?
So, I mean, that's the concept, where it's gonna go. You know, the idea of what Bill St. Ange said yesterday was that he thought that a letter of understanding between the two entities, being Ed Higgins and now and Bill and the town, pass that to the state to see if the state would give it its blessing before you go any further with it. And as far as the organization is concerned, that way they can just raise money to get kids in the door. In other words, do the floor and the bathrooms in the windows,
Yeah.
and then chip away at the rest. Because now you're not looking at putting in the recreation department down there and the veteran affairs and so, and you could do some other things with the building, open it up for, like, space where you could use it for rec basketball, so you could, you know, put some viewing space for the parents or whatever on the side where the range is over on the far side. We're not looking to use it for office space everywhere, so there's a lot of possibilities with it. But the other thing that I want to tell Louise about is that the now use is to redo the kitchen in the classroom, to have it being a teaching kitchen for the healthy cooking courses that the other organization puts on, but that stuff doesn't happen during the day, that's evenings and weekends. So it blends in very well to what she's saying for the seniors.
But it would also blend in very well with the Historical Society.
So,
We could use them, they could use it.
so kids-based organization with the athletic fields, with this and the school's right next door, seems like it's a win-win. So.
So where is that?
That is going to Now's board on the 25th, and then Ed Higgins is doing a letter of understanding that Bill will edit, and then they're sending it to the state. So it'll be back to us, not our next meeting, but the meeting after. Hopefully. They didn't think they'd have trouble getting that done at the state level. Doug was there, he said he knew the person that would be looking at it at the state level. Any new business? Citizens' comments, all the citizens have been commenting.
Yeah, we don't hold back.
So our next meeting is scheduled for 26?
26.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll have some more input from the architects by then. And I'm sure we'll have something more to do with Satan Street by then, right, Owen?
Hopefully, yeah.
All right.
Before we adjourn, Mr. Chairman, I believe this was a very progressive evening.
Yeah.
And move to adjourn.
Anybody like to say? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Janet.
Thanks for your filing.
And,
26.
25th, I got the contract.
We got Danny's meeting. Danny's convention. Oh, no, that's Danny.
making progress.
Where do you meet for church?
Roll one step at a time.
Well, it is.
Oh.
You know, when I first went on the board of ed, way back when,
Board of Ed.
we're gonna make some changes there.
We're having
I came out of business, you know?
anybody come in and give us ideas? Well, we can make it just ideas, we can't say we're gonna use it, not use it.
Right.
But then
They had
they
a
tell us
career
we're
before
gonna
a
need
job,
it.
and it was
Sooner
his
than
second,
that.
Bobby, oh my God, Bobby
There
was
is
so
a
much.
minute changing, I'm telling you.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Scott,
What's happening?
Yeah, he's
Not
never
many
done
at all.
anything. Just-
Owen,
No.
playing golf yet?
We had a superintendent when I came in.
Gave it up?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, you can't.
I couldn't walk around enough to.
I got,
Oh, I wasn't
My back
looking for
was
you,
doing
but you wanna say
something.
something.
no,
No,
no, I put my foot in my mouth too many times.
we all do that.
Thank you, guys.
I'm a good editor,
Denise?
don't worry.
Thanks for keeping my
I
jacket
got
on.
hung up with Jonathan the other night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Very much.
One step at a time.
It was a
This
select
was good.
meeting and
I learned a lot.
executive session
Yeah.
At the same time.
I like those kids, I hope they
Oh,
get
yeah.
that
I was
shrunk
between
down
both.
Yeah.
too. and
That
That happens.
Oh,
Yeah.
the one that they showed us.
You need anything from me?
I want you to decide where you're gonna put the building.
Well,
Then you,
and, well, I think actually they have.
Camera go last.
Possibility.